Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and give us a warm welcome and get us started. Get ready for another Wednesday webinar. Today, the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce is very happy to welcome our invited guests, Riverside County Workforce Development Team. And they are going to be presenting about a topic that is important and relevant for all of us, whether we are a business professional in our own career path and journey, or whether we work within human resources or as a business owner. The topic of workforce is just critical right now, and all of us are facing challenges, whether it's navigating through our career or finding the right staff or being able to find staff at all. And the team at the Riverside County Workforce Development has a number of amazing programs and benefits that are available for free to Riverside County businesses, and to even some professionals who just maybe need help being paired for recruiting. And so we invited them to share their perspective and their insights as they see it today. And they're going to be giving us an overview of all of the many tools and programs they have that you can leverage and benefit from. Of course, we'll be sharing their contact information after this webinar, and this is being recorded and it will be published to our website for distribution and reference a little bit later on as well. So I invite you to come back and take notes over anything that you might have missed. Just a couple points of etiquette. This is a webinar versus a Zoom meeting. So the only people that you are going to be able to see on screen are going to be presenters themselves. That means if you're in our audience today, while we do encourage you to press mute, you really shouldn't have to worry about it all that much. Audience members, you are able to engage with us using either the chat box or the Q&A feature. And I definitely encourage you to submit Q&A, because towards the end of our time together today, we'll go through those questions and ask Leslie and Anthony to field those for us. So without further ado, let me give a warm welcome to Leslie Trainer and Anthony Shaw, and I will be turning it over to them to present what information they have to share with us today. Welcome, Leslie and Anthony.
Thanks, Emily. Thank you so much for inviting us to present today. We're really happy to be here. We're always happy to be in front of an audience who may not be aware of our programs and services. So the plan for today is just to give you some information. It doesn't have to be too terribly formal. So if you have any questions for me or for Anthony, you just let us know. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and we have a PowerPoint prepared for you. And Emily has a copy of this PowerPoint. So if you would like a copy, I would imagine you would, Emily, they would ask you for it.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, after the webinar, we'll send a follow-up and I'll include it as an attachment.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. All right, so the objectives for the next 40 or so minutes, Anthony and I really would like to just provide you with information about workforce development and how the programs and services that we offer can be practical tools for you and your businesses, as well as for workers in your businesses. And what we'll be talking about, I will start and I'll be giving an overview of the workforce development system, a summary of our services, and then Anthony is going to take a deeper dive into the business resources. He is a business services consultant. He works day in and day out directly with businesses. So he has a lot of the detail and information that you as businesses are going to want to get started using our services. Right. So I like to start out by giving an overview of how the workforce development system is structured, because it can be kind of confusing. I came to my position about 2 years ago, and it took me a decent amount of time to figure out where all the pieces of the puzzle fit. So I like to include this in my presentation just so you all have an idea. So the County of Riverside is the receiver of the major federal funding source for workforce development. And that federal funding source is WIOA, or Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. That money comes from the Federal Department of Labor. It flows through the state of California Employment Development Department, and it comes to the County of Riverside. Anthony and I are County of Riverside employees, and we execute the purposes of WIOA. We implement the WIOA programs and services as county employees. Providing oversight to what we do and the expenditure of the WIOA funds is the Riverside County Workforce Development Board. The board members, and there are a minimum of 19 of them at any given time, but usually closer to 26, are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. And as you can see from this little pie chart, the majority of the representatives on the Workforce Development Board are business. And that was very, very intentional on the part of the legislature when they created WIOA. And that's because they wanted to make sure that business had a significant seat at the table to inform all the activities that we are implementing over here at the county. We don't want to set up a system where we're getting a workforce prepared for jobs that don't exist, or there's no demand for those jobs. So the input from business is incredibly important in the workforce development system. We also have workforce representatives, and then representatives from other entities, which are many. There's many, many tentacles to the workforce development system, and there's a slide coming up where I will show you that. And then there's this thing called America's Job Centers of California. And some people call them workforce development centers, but they are the hubs of where we implement our services. And located at those hubs are our staff, county staff, as well as our many partners. So America's Job Centers of California are the brick and mortar locations where we used to, pre-pandemic, we were delivering services. So what exactly is it that the workforce development system does? We provide oversight for implementing activities under our major federal funding source, which is WIOA. We provide leadership to the workforce development system, and we want to support economic development and talent management. But really, I like to refer to our philosophical view of workforce development as an ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, there are two major entities. There's the workers, labor, and then there are the employers. And those two entities rely upon each other. You need both, and you need both to be in good shape for this ecosystem to function optimally. And so at Workforce Development, our objective is to focus on both. And for the workers, we want those workers, the labor force, to be skilled and ready. And we want the employers that are involved to be strong and resilient. So our activities are focused on both of those elements, both of those entities in the workforce ecosystem. So a summary of our services, I'm breaking it down into three different segments. The services we provide to workers, which also include youth, and then the services we provide to businesses. So workers that we sometimes refer to as job seekers, but they're not always job seekers. Sometimes the workers we help are currently employed, and maybe they are underemployed and looking to skill up. But they would be under the umbrella of what's referred to as job seekers here. So in addition to the things you see on your screen, which are career coaching, one-on-one career counseling, you have workshops that help folks get ready to go back into the workforce. Sometimes it's a person's first time entering the workforce. Sometimes there's been a period of time since they've been in the workforce, and they need to refresh their memory on things like etiquette for how to behave in the workplace, your resume, how to create a resume that has all the information on it that a business is going to need, and in a way that is aesthetically pleasing. And also a resume that will withstand some of the electronic screening devices that some human resources departments use nowadays. We also help folks practice their interviewing skills. Even for those of us probably on this call who are seasoned business people, we've been there, we've done that, and it's still nerve-wracking to interview. So helping folks prepare to give a good interview is something else that we can provide for the workforce side. We also help people look for jobs, and we provide labor market information. So if somebody is, maybe they're underemployed and they're looking for a way to extend their career ladder in an upward trajectory, we can help them dissect the data. We work very closely with our partners at the State Employment Development Department. They're a super resource for very, very rich data and information on the labor market and economic information as well. So that's information we can share with job seekers so that they can make a good decision for themselves. A major thing that we're known for is vocational training assistance. Though we at Workforce Development don't provide the vocational training, we have partnerships with vocational training providers, and we bring the money to the table. So for each person that has gone through career coaching and is qualified under WIOA, and we determine that they need vocational training, we can pay for up to $8,000 per person in that vocational training. And so for a lot of folks, that is a window of opportunity that was locked before that we can crack open for them and send them to vocational training. Now we execute all these through, as I mentioned, the America's Job Centers of California, and we are in the government, so we do use a lot of acronyms, and we refer to those lovingly as AJCCs, or Workforce Development Centers. But we have 3 brick and mortar workforce development centers throughout the county. There's one in Riverside, one in Hemet, and one in Indio. And we also have access points in Moreno Valley and Blythe. And a mobile workforce development center. I can't forget to say that. We actually deployed our mobile workforce development center during Hurricane Katrina, sent it down to Florida, and used that in the emergency response. Nowadays, with the pandemic as it is, our 3 workforce development centers have been closed to the public, but the team at Workforce Development has been on the job. We have not paused at all. In fact, I don't know about you, Anthony, but this is, I've been busier than I've been in a long time. It's been a strange, kind of different kind of busy, a lot of Zoom meetings kind of busy, but very, very busy.
Right.
For youth, we have an entire program that targets young people, young adults. Some of the youth don't like being called youth, they like to be called young adults, and that age range is 16 to 24. For the kids, the focus is slightly different. We want the outcome to be either them moving on to higher education or going into a career. For the adults, the goal is most definitely to get them into a job, a career. So at the Youth Opportunity Centers, there's a whole variety of opportunities that are available, including career exploration. There are work experience sites. So there are relationships established with businesses who are able to take on some of these young adults and provide them with work experience. And the young adults are paid with WIOA money. So it's essentially free help, free assistance from the young adults. And that can come in handy for a variety of reasons, but the young adults tend to be very energetic, very creative, very good with the technology. So there's a lot of interesting ways that a business could plug in a youth or young adult from one of our youth opportunity centers. The Youth Opportunity Center also generally serves as the employer of record, and that decreases the perceived risk for employers to take on and train or have these youth work at their business. So we have 6 youth opportunity centers throughout the county. There is Rubidoux, Moreno Valley, Lake Elsinore, Hemet, Indio, and Paris. And the young folks can go into these centers. At many of the centers, there are other services available as well. And so they can get face-to-face, one-on-one counseling. And the Youth Opportunity Centers are seeing young adults on an appointment basis so that they can control the foot traffic into the centers. A lot of times the youth, they need that hand-holding, and they can get that at the Youth Opportunity Center. We assess their skills to see if there are any gaps or areas where they may need training or education. And most of the kids that do come into the Youth Opportunity Centers are skills deficient. And our job is to bring them up to speed so that they're good candidates for hire. Lastly, we have our business services. And I'm going to skim over this because Anthony is going to get into more detail on the services we provide to businesses. But we do all kinds of cool stuff for businesses, and we like to be a resource, meaning that if a business comes to us and there's a need and for some reason we are not able to do the thing that they need, we will always try and connect them and find a way to assist them. But the services and businesses that we do offer include assistance with recruiting. If you've got an open position and a large number of applicants and you need help screening through those applicants, we can help you with that. We have quite a few businesses that like to use our facilities for large-scale recruitments. And pre-COVID, we were doing that quite often. But recently, we've been able to accommodate that on a much more limited scale by appointment only. We also have a program to help with business process improvements. And one of the programs that we're well known for those of us who do know about us, is our on-the-job training program. And on-the-job training allows the employer to hire on somebody new, train that new employee the way the employer sees fit, and we reimburse the employer for up to 50% of the new employee's wages. So this is a way to help with cash flow. It can amount to thousands and thousands of dollars in savings. And if you're looking to hire folks that maybe you wouldn't normally hire, but you want to take a chance, this is a good way to mitigate perceived risks in doing that. So Anthony's going to dig a little bit deeper, well, a lot deeper into that shortly. So for these activities that we do, which, to reiterate what Emily said, are free. These are free services that we provide to workers and to employers. Remember, it's the things we do are funded with taxpayer money, the WIOA federal funds. And so they're free for workers and employers to take advantage of in Riverside County. Those services that we provide to businesses, we have certain industries that we target. So we get all this money from WIO, we get this federal funding, and our Workforce Development Board, their job is to say, okay, now that we have all this money, how are we going to prioritize it? What are our priorities in spending this money where we pay attention in human resources and other resources? And one of the ways they clarify that is by determining demand industries or target industries. So those sectors that we are really focusing in on and want to very intentionally assist. And so on an annual basis, we use data from the Employment Development Department to determine what those target industries are. And essentially what we're looking for are industries that are going to grow, usually over the next 5 or 10 years is what we look at, and that they're going to grow significantly such that we're expecting an increase of at least 1,000 jobs in that time frame, and that on average, the occupations in those industries pay a self-sufficiency wage. And self-sufficiency wage, by the way, I could do a whole presentation on how you define self-sufficiency wage. It's a very, very tricky topic of conversation there, but our determination of what a self-sufficiency wage is. And then for training requirements, on average, if a person wanted to get a job in that sector, on average, they would not be required to have a college degree. And if they needed training, the training could be provided in less than 2 years. So in other words, we could pay for it with WIOA, get them in and out of training in under 2 years, get them a good job that's high paying, well paying for self-sufficiency in an industry that's growing and going to have job openings in the future. So that's the criteria we use. We have this complex quantitative filtration system. That's also another presentation. Probably put a bunch of you to sleep because sometimes it makes me a little sleepy too. But in the end, we develop these target industries, and the target industries currently in Riverside County are healthcare, manufacturing, construction, logistics, transportation, retail trade, administrative support, and other services. So these are the industries that across the county we want to very intentionally support. And what we do also, because the county is so huge and each part of the county is different, is in addition to looking at the county-wide industries that fit the criteria I just went over, we look region by region. And Temecula happens to be in the southwest region of the county. And so when we apply that same quantitative filtration process, 2 additional industries are added to the mix: travel or accommodation and employment services. And normally when I'm in the southwest part of the county and I mention that, I see people go, okay, good, because it seems to make sense intuitively, which is good. Good news for us. That means our quantitative filtration system is valid. So with our funding, we are attempting to focus on and support these industries. And that comes through on the worker side. So when we are sending a worker to training, we are trying to identify an occupation in one of these demand industries for which we could appropriately train that individual. When we are helping businesses, we are looking for businesses to focus on that are in one of these industries. Now, should mention also that there are some occupations that span across industries that we can support as well. Things like information technology, accounting services, management, they tend to span those industries. But keep this in mind, because the target industry concept is going to pop up in Anthony's portion of his conversation as well. So as promised, I just really quickly wanted to show you some of the partners that we have at Workforce Development. So for you, on this Zoom meeting, think of us as a free resource, just as Emily said. And we really want to help you in any way we can. And if there is a partner we have that you think you need to talk to, or you think has a program that could benefit you, please use us to get to them. That is part of our job, is to connect you with our partners or other resources that'll get you to where you need to be. So if you like the idea of all that data I talked about from the Employment Development Department, let me know. We have, they're probably our biggest partner. If you have an individual working for you who has a disability, or if something you're hoping to do is employ more folks with disabilities and you have questions, or maybe you have, you want to know etiquette for serving individuals with disabilities. The Department of Rehabilitation is phenomenal. They are just, I have not met a person at the Department of Rehabilitation that I have not liked. They're fantastic. And their whole job is to make sure that individuals with disabilities are prepared for work, that they themselves are prepared, and to support employers who employ them and serve them. Department of Public Social Services, they are the entity in the county that administers some welfare programs like CalWorks and SNAP, or what we call in California, CalFresh. So, you know, if you have folks who are in need of those benefits, we can connect you. Also good to know that the Department of Public Social Services has a program where they try and connect recipients of their CalWorks program with employers. And they have a program that's very similar to our on-the-job training program. So again, this is just another way to connect you with worker talent. Goodwill Southern California is fantastic for working with unique individuals. Job Corps, so many other partners that we have. And we also work regionally with the San Bernardino County Workforce Development, our counterparts in San Bernardino County. There are a lot of businesses that span county lines, and our economies are so similar. So we work very closely with San Bernardino County Workforce Development. We have lots of education partners, including the county's Office of Education. We work with many of the adult schools and the community colleges as well. So again, please use us if you need to get to any of these partners that we have, or you think you could benefit from their services, let us know, and we're happy to connect you. So I am now going to hand the proverbial microphone over to Anthony. And Anthony, who I mentioned is a business solutions consultant for workforce development, is going to go into a little more detail on our business services. And what he does every day, day in and out, is interact with businesses and try to find ways to help them. So Anthony, it's all yours. Just let me know when to advance the slide.
Do I just share, I'm sorry, do I just share my screen now, or how do we do this?
I'll just keep mine up here, and if you want to just say next slide, and I'll advance it for you.
Okay, that'll work out. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Anthony Shaw, and I work for Leslie. I work for Workforce Development, and I cover the southwest portion of Riverside County. That would be Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee, Hemet, Lake Elsinore, around that region. And my job today is to provide you with an overview of the services that Workforce Development can offer businesses. Definitely something that a lot of people don't know about, but once they find out about it, I said, how come I didn't find about this earlier? So I am more than pleased to present these few of many that we have services that we have to offer, such as rapid response, recruitment services, and on-the-job training. Next slide, Leslie, please. Okay, the first service, it's more of an incentive program. It's called the Employment Training Panel, and this is a real good program for businesses who are looking at training a group of individuals that are already employed with them. Let's say, for instance, if you have a warehouse and you need some type of forklift training and you don't know how to get it, well, contact us. We'll be more than glad to execute a training for you by, let me make sure I get this right. We are not a training agency, we are a funding agency. So we contract with educational entities such as University of California, Riverside, and so forth and so on to develop curriculum for the businesses that can and provide the instruction for those particular businesses. So if you're looking at getting training for a group of individuals, the Employment Training Panel, or ETP, it would be a great option. And all you really need to do is pay under the California Employment Insurance Fund and have a California state ID number. And that is it for that. And also, I just want to mention, it's already on the slide, so I don't need to read a slide to you, but it covers things such as manufacturing, distribution, logistics, and so forth and so on. Okay, next slide, please. Now, some of the other services that we have to offer here is recruitment service. And Leslie spoke about recruitment services briefly, but I just want to see if I can add anything to it. Now, if you're looking at maybe, hey, you have an opening and you need to try to fill that opening, we would be more than glad to assist you. To give you some background on recruitment services, we've helped companies such as, for instance, the Temecula Valley Hospital. A few years ago, they were just moving into Temecula, and they used our center that used to be on Sky Canyon, and I'm sorry, Technology, used to be on Technology. And we assist them with their recruiting needs as finding the qualified candidates that they need for employment. Or we can help out the smaller companies such as the mom and pop operations to find a person to work in their hardware store, or so forth and so on. Full-time, part-time, temporary workers, we'll be glad to assist you with those needs. If you have labor market issues that you want to find out that, hey, why am I losing qualified employees to the company down the street? Well, it could be something as simple as what you're paying them. Give us a call. We'll be glad to find some labor market information for you to find out what's the going wage in Southwest Riverside County and what should you be paying for that particular field. And also human resource information. I work with a lot of businesses who are dealing with issues right now with, hey, why am I having problems with this person? Shouldn't this person know how to dress? Shouldn't this person know that they can't do this or do that on the job? Well, did you provide the employee with a employee's handbook? Well, that is something that you could find out through the Temecula Hemet Employers Advisory Council, because we partner with them and others to give you that information that you need just to keep you on top of things as far as human resources, because not a lot of companies have, or not a lot of businesses have, a large human resource department. They might be working with one person, or they might not have anything as far as human resources. So we can definitely help you in those areas as well. Next slide, please. And unfortunately, this has come up a lot, but it's here only because it's called rapid response services, or downsizing assistance. There's nothing worse than you being told that you're going to be laid off. You can forget about the productivity after that. So isn't it nice to know that while that person's worrying about, hey, how am I going to feed my family, and how am I going to, you know, pay for school for my son or daughter and things like that, while they worry about those issues, you can call us as far as downsizing assistance go, and we will basically set a roadmap for them to assist them to get back on their feet as soon as possible. And that's a great service to have, especially during these trying times. So if that person's, hey, I need to find a job real quick, I'm not looking for training, hey, well, we can help you there with job search and placement assistance. Hey, how do I file for unemployment? Well, we bring a team down of EDD and EDA, as well as workforce development staff, to come down and help you the best way to apply for unemployment insurance. Career counseling, training and education resources, all of that is provided through downsizing assistance. So for instance, if you're a large organization and you're about to lay off a bunch of people, just give us a call. We'll normally find out about it, but if you just give us a call first, we'll be glad to set a team up to assist you with that. And that's nice to know. And the employers will, at least they'll breathe a little bit easier as they can find out that if one door closes, another door will open for them. And it's nice to know that we can help them with our rapid response service. Next slide. And the one that's really near and dear to me, because that's the one that I primarily work with, is on-the-job training reimbursement program. This is a fantastic program, and it's a program with absolutely no strings attached. And that's what I try to tell the employers that I deal with on a day in and day out basis. It's providing you with a way of 50% reimbursement on workers for 480 hours of training. And it's a straight 50% reimbursement. So if you're having a difficult time finding qualified workers, we can assist you with our on-the-job training. As long as the position is full-time, and under California guidelines, full-time is at least 32 hours per week. Next slide. And of course, the on-the-job training program is there to help you pay for training and things like that. But anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Offset the cost of hiring and training new employees. Sorry about that, Leslie. I guess I should have told you. Anyway, next slide, please. So we also, as Leslie had mentioned, we also cover in the key target areas, and we look more for, try to help out people or businesses in healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, construction, administrative support, or professional services. We try to find those key areas that we know that are going to have a lasting impact on that particular individual to make that individual marketable. So we try to stay within the key targeted areas that's been outlined by the County of Riverside Workforce Development. Next slide. And the qualifier for an on-the-job training is the employer has to have a California state tax ID number. It's as simple as that. And they also have to be paying into workers' compensation insurance. And as I mentioned earlier, it has to be full-time, 32 hours per week at a minimum. But of course, 40 hours is considered full-time as well. So, and it must be a waged or salary position and no commission. But I will let you know that it can be for those in the sales force. If you pay a wage plus commission, as long as the wage meets our guidelines, then we could work with that as well. Also must be a prevailing rate. It can't be something that, hey, we're going to pay this person a lower rate because, hey, we're getting that 50% reimbursement on that or something like that. No, it can't. It has to be a prevailing rate with the company. And this is really important. There has to be a justification. I'm going to talk about next the WIOA. Must be WIOA qualified, but in addition to that, has to be a justification for training. And I'll give you a quick example. We use forklift again, and I know nothing about forklifts. All I know is they lift up large boxes. But let's say, for instance, it's a M9 forklift, and you want to hire this particular individual for an M9 forklift training, and you say, hey, I've got this person. I like to hire him. I want to hire them for this M9 forklift position. But I look at the person's resume and they've got like 15, 20 years of M9 forklift training. So that will not be a justification there. So if you have another forklift, they say, well, he will be able to, or she will be able to also use that M8 forklift, but they really don't know how to use it. Well, maybe that's where the training needs to be on. As long as you can justify, and as long as it's 480 hours, it can be less. But as long as you can justify, and with the 480 hours, and we can assist you with that too, that's a justification for training. And also, finally, this is not a need, but if you have a job description, that also helps us when we're searching for candidates because we can look for those skills. Another example, I'm working with an awning company, and that awning company needs qualified people to do their installation. So where am I going to look at? Well, the first thing I'm going to look at is people that are not afraid of heights, because awnings normally cover second floor, third floor, fourth floor. It depends on how large your house is. So, or your business. So I'm going to look for maybe roofers. Roofers aren't afraid of heights. So I'm going to look in that field. And also, are they good with tools? So those are the skills that I'm looking for. Now, I will mind you that just because, for instance, if a person comes out of the military and they've worked Air Force, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not afraid of heights, because here, I'm living proof. I'm Air Force veteran and I'm afraid of heights. So I would not be a good person for that position. But somebody who's a roofer or somebody that's not afraid of heights, they would be a good person for that. That's why it's neat to have a job description, because you can look at the skills. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned earlier, as Leslie had mentioned also, they have to be qualified under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Basically, they have to be 18 years of age or older and be registered with Selective Services. That's basically registering for the draft. Now, this, if they're born on or after January 1st, 1960, they have to be registered with Selective Services. So, and it's basically, it's the law too. So, and I believe that's up to age 26. So between ages 18 and 26, they have to be registered for Selective Services. And the neat thing about this particular program is they don't have to come from one particular group or candidate pool. We recruit from the general public. So if you're looking for people, but yet, hey, this is government and I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure because I don't know if I want to take them out of this particular special program. No, you give us a job description and you tell us what you're looking for, and we will try to find those candidates to meet your criteria, not necessarily come from one particular candidate or pool. Not that we don't assist those particular pools, because we love to. We love to see everybody working and we want to assist as much as we can, but we don't recruit from one particular area. Next slide. And there are some challenges that we've seen, especially here lately, as far as, like, for instance, key industry areas. Like I said before, the skill sets, we need to make sure that there are skills that will match that particular job opening. So we're having issues with that. So we try to find the people that, you know, they will be a good match and they will be able to absorb the training. So we won't have any like early layoffs or anything else like that. So we have to find the people that will match the skill set. Finding qualified candidates for employment, that's always been an issue. Looking at the different areas and how many people that you need, and whether or not they're qualified for our program, then they have to be qualified for you. So it has to be a pretty decent match there. So finding the qualified candidates. Motivated workers. Motivated workers are probably one of the hardest things that I'm finding right now. It's because what I normally do is when an employer calls me and they say that, hey, I have a particular job opening, and I look at the job opening and I start using my different resources, most notably CalJobs, to look for job candidates, and I speak with them over the phone and they're all motivated and ready to go. And I say, well, you're going to get, let's say, for instance, you're going to get Target to call you, and they will call you, and good luck to you, and just be, you know, raring to go and stuff. And something happens in translation, because by the time the employer talks to me and they say, well, I either couldn't get a hold of the people, or I had set up interviews for them and they never showed up. So something happened there. So trying to find the motivated worker is definitely a challenge. The unemployment rate right now versus low paying jobs. And I will tie this on with the current pandemic. It's pretty tough. Right now, the people are receiving unemployment insurance. I don't know what stage they're in or anything else like that, but they look at that, and if it's a few dollars more versus what they're getting in unemployment, plus they know that they're pretty much safe because of what's going on in our nation, in our country, in our world right now. They much rather, hey, I'm just going to lay low for a while, and I will tackle it when I need to tackle it. So that's been an issue that I've seen during this past 3 or 4 months. Next slide. Hey, but there are success stories. And although this is not Mr. Benjamin that's in this particular picture, because I don't want to say, hey, that's Ed from Ed's Brewery. That's not Mr. Benjamin. He's lying to us. That's just a picture. That's not Mr. Benjamin. But what I like about this is there's a manufacturer in San Jacinto that I've been trying to find people for. I drive out there on a, I won't say a daily basis because that would be a fabrication, but a lot. I drive out there a lot, just try to, hey, here's some more resumes. I didn't know if you've received them or not through email, but I want to make sure you got them. This particular person looks good. This particular person looks good. And to find out that they never show up for interviews and stuff. Well, we finally found a person, and we found a person that was really in need through CalJobs, by the way. He's a young person with a family of 4 that's running out of financial resources. And he didn't take advantage when he left his last job of many programs that they were offering during the pandemic. So he was on his last leg, and I just happened to call him through CalJobs. He said, and I also did roofing. And I actually added that to his resume, and the employer caught on to him and found him. And this young man, he doesn't have a driver's license, so he has to ride his bike to work. Luckily, he lives in Hemet, so it's not that far from San Jacinto. And the employer is just pleased with the kid's work ethic and the things that he does. So the kid's hungry, and there's nothing more gratifying. I mean, we could hire, help hire 100 people. That's fine. But when you find that one that's really appreciative and really needed, that's really satisfying. And that's why we do this job. Next slide. Oh, and I'm done. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free. And if you want to ever start the process with me, I'm at the French Valley Business Center. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to call or shoot me an email, and I will be glad to assist at any time. And that's it.
And that concludes our presentation. Hopefully, we've been able to paint the picture at least a little bit about what we refer to as the best kept secret in Riverside County. We do not want to be the best kept secret in Riverside County. And so, you know, Emily was kind enough to give us this platform to share information with you. And we super appreciate that and would really like to work with any of you that need our services.
Thank you, Leslie and Anthony. Great presentation. There was a lot of content and a lot of details there. But I know firsthand that working with you is actually very simple. There are not a lot of hoops to jump through at all. The Chamber of Commerce has recently called on your team to help staff some positions that we have, and to even just look at market data about our workforce, and you guys have been amazing. So with our last couple of minutes, I do want to open it up to some Q&A. If you are a participant and you have some questions, you know, even if it's specific to your industry, please use the Q&A box to go ahead and drop in your question. If not, I've got a couple of questions that I think our audience will appreciate me asking. But the first question that's actually come in from one of our viewers today says, in the past, we have worked with WFD in both Indio, or Workforce Development, in Indio and Blythe, and we have had great support and success in sourcing potential candidates for various openings. We haven't had the same level of support from the Hemet office. Can you give us any recommendations on how to get better support? And then can you explain how we can connect even though your offices are closed to the public? And then their third part of their question is, where would you suggest we post a notice for job fairs? So
good three-pronged question. Well, first of all, I am sorry that you haven't received the level of service that you've needed from one of our centers, and would definitely love to get more detailed feedback from you so that we can improve anything that needs to be improved. As far as business services, so the Hemet Workforce Development Center would be the location closest to the Temecula area for workers to receive services. And Anthony is the business solutions consultant who serves your area. So for business services, if you as a business are needing assistance, Anthony Shaw is the person that you would reach out to directly. His information is on the screen. For workers services, so for the services on the side of the labor force, that would be our Hemet Workforce Development Center. And Emily, maybe I can get you their contact information. However, I think it would be helpful for me if I could get a little more detail if whoever is asking this question is willing to email me or have a phone conversation with me. That would be much appreciated. And perhaps I can put, I don't think my contact information is on here. Maybe I can put that into the chat box in just a moment. And then the third part of the question was the best place for
to advertise job fairs.
So I'll give you my input, and then I'll let Anthony chime in as well. So for advertising job fairs, if you email that information, you know, if you have a flyer or something on the job fair, if you can email that to Anthony. We have social media sites where we blast this information. We have a newsletter that goes out regularly to all of those partners that I showed on the screen. And we tend to include exactly this type of information in those email blasts. And I have actually seen Anthony show up to all kinds of different events, our workforce development board meetings, chamber meetings, and he brings flyers with them and announces it. So Anthony, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, actually, just thinking about that, the same thing that you said, Leslie, we can send it off to our partners to blast out that information. And under other conditions, you're right, I would send flyers out and actually walk flyers out to different agencies and organizations that I attend. Again, after the person speaks with you, I'll be glad to see where the disconnect is at and try to resolve whatever issues that we might be having and just try to basically do a better job.
Hey, well, I have to tell you, you know, again, my personal experience working with your team has just been phenomenal. You guys have been extremely responsive. And I think even to this, this question, you know, they prefaced it with, we have come to enjoy, you know, a specific level of service, and we know that you deliver that. So I'm sure there are just maybe some like specific scenarios in which it's a miss. I'll put you guys in touch so that you can resolve that. But I mean, ultimately, the good news is they've found success with you. We've found success for you. There's a lot of power and good that comes of your work. And I want to just point out to our attendees, so many of us right now are struggling with finding the qualified workforce. And Anthony had talked about many factors that are creating a challenge. A lot of people are unmotivated to work or have been unmotivated to work. We also have an issue with families who now have kids who are starting school at home, and that might create a problem for mom or dad who now need to be home and can't regularly report to work. So if and as you're running into those issues, please reach out to the chamber, because we are listening, observing, and trying to connect you with either the resources to create new workforce models within your own business, or if you know that you need to be hiring, we'll connect with workforce development, we'll post it on our website, and we'll put you in touch with anyone else we know of that might be able to help you. So there's this really strong power of collaboration. And I just recommend that you engage all of us at the same time, and you're going to end up with more results. I do want to ask you one quick question, Anthony. If you could, you know, help us understand practically the steps a business would go through if they wanted to take advantage of the on-the-job training program. When we listen to the criteria, it sometimes sounds tedious, but I know that it's actually not a tedious process at all. Is it as simple as just reaching out to you and providing the job description and creating a justification? And how quickly does the program take place in that reimbursement?
Yeah, once we, yeah, right. Once we settle on a candidate, it normally takes 24 to 48 hours to finish up the entire process. And I do all of the paperwork. The only thing that I require from the employer is to provide a current W-9, a current insurance document that shows that they do have workman's compensation insurance. And then I will send them back a document that shows that they are qualified for our services, and their end is done. Basically, the holdup traditionally has been with the employee. It all depends on what I need from that particular person. But on average, 24 to 48 hours, we're able to finish it up, and that employee can start with that company.
Great. And then when it comes to some of the training that you're able to reimburse for, does the training have to go through a specific institution, or how is that handled?
No, not at all. The employer determines the training. They just tell us basically through their job description, or they just send me an email that says, hey, I am looking for a recruiting coordinator. And so they just tell me, hey, here's a job description. Here are some of the things that we're going to train them on. I will match it up with a website that we use, and we're done.
Wow.
We don't do any of the training. All we do is provide the funding.
That's so powerful. I hope that everyone was really paying attention to that. I mean, right now we're all in a season of, we've laid off staff in some cases. We might be preparing to rehire. And in some cases, our original workforce wasn't available. So now we have to find new candidates that we have to invest the time to train. And if you simply take the time to reach out to Anthony, he can help create a reimbursement for 50% of their wages just during that orientation and training program. That's so helpful. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions that are rolling in from our audience. And I think we have maybe time for one more generic question. And Leslie, you might have more insight on this than anything. But I know our audience in general is just very curious about unemployment rates and what we're seeing in Riverside County as a result of COVID. We knew that unemployment spiked, probably March, April. What are you guys seeing now with trends in reemployment?
I am going to, since we have a moment, I am going to pull up a data dashboard just to show you some of the trends that we're seeing. Anecdotally, I think that Anthony really covered it when he said that there are some motivation issues. If somebody is getting regular unemployment insurance and they're getting pandemic unemployment insurance, in some cases, folks are earning more money that way than they are with their regular employment. And so we definitely are feeling that and seeing it. But here's some of the data that's behind what's going on. So this is a workforce data dashboard, and we produce this and I email it out to a whole bunch of people once a week. I just put my email address in the chat box. So if you're interested on being on the email list, the distribution list that receives this once weekly, feel free to shoot me an email or put that in the chat box. But in any case, so let's see if I need to move this box. So the unemployment rate, as you can see, this has been our pandemic journey on the unemployment rate graph. In the green is the nation, and you can see that the trend for the nation has been below that of the state, which is in orange, state of California, and the county of Riverside, which is in blue. I'm guessing that in part that's because California was pretty quick with implementing closures and has stepped to that more than some other states. The county of Riverside is fairly similar in the unemployment rate with the state of California. But here we were back in February, we were all very happy. It was Valentine's Day. We had no, when we thought about Corona, we thought of either the city or, a drink with a lime in it. And then March hits and we're going, oh my gosh, this is, we'll be through this in a few weeks, but it's going to be rough for a couple weeks. And then in April, everybody realizes, wow, this is very serious. The unemployment rate really started to spike up. It got slightly higher in May, and then it started to drop a little bit as we saw businesses reopen. Not only that, but we're seeing businesses find a way. It's like the scene in Jurassic Park where the dinosaur who's supposed to be, they're all females, they still find a way to reproduce. The businesses have found creative ways. So even those that have not officially physically reopened are finding ways. But we are seeing tremendous innovation from some sectors, particularly manufacturing, where those manufacturers are repurposing their lines to produce COVID-related items. For example, there's a manufacturer who makes mattresses. He repurposed his line and is now making masks and body bags. It's very morbid, but it's incredibly practical. So this is sort of what we're seeing here. And I think on the worker side, with that $600 a week and pandemic unemployment assistance having expired, and there's been deadlock between the House and the Senate on the federal side, coming up with some other bill. The president just is in the process of unilaterally attempting to approve something, but it seems uncertain whether that's going to go through. So I am just guessing that as those unemployment insurance monies are dwindling or going away, and businesses continue to develop these innovative, creative ways to survive, that we may start seeing, that unemployment rate go back down. But just to show you as well, the number of phone calls we've been getting has been very high. This is weekly phone calls and email inquiries from folks who just send us unsolicited emails or call us in an unsolicited way. And you can see that between April and May, we were at about 3,000 a week. So our activity got really busy. It's mellowed out just a little bit. And on this side, you can see our weekly business services. In blue, this represents WARN notices. So Anthony had mentioned that if there's a large scale layoff, we find out about it. And Anthony, when you said that, it sounded very ominous, but I want to say it's an official process. It's not that we know everything. There's this act, it's a federal act called WARN. It stands for Worker Assistance Retraining Notification, and it requires employers undergoing large scale layoffs to send out notices. So we were notified, that shows in blue, and our business response is in gray. And I'm just now realizing that the time and that I've been talking a lot, and that's what happens when you get data in front of me.
Yeah, this is all, I think, very interesting information for all of our viewers. We're very curious, and I think you've shared this report with me, so I'll go ahead and include it in our email blast out to everyone who registered. So thank you, Leslie, for taking the extra time to do that.
You're welcome.
Again, on behalf of the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce, we just want to thank you for your insights, your education, and your resources. I did see in the chat box at least one person say, hi, I'm going to be reaching out to Anthony here shortly. So I would expect that you're going to be getting some outreach from us, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily, and thank you for all the attendees for listening. We very much appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, make it a great day, and we will see you next Wednesday at our next webinar.